At one point in Venice, something peculiar started happening. A single woman who were basically destitute and looking for a way out, they started selling their bodies enough for them to put food on the table. Because of course back in the days there was no social assistance, there was no form of help they could get from the government. So they started selling themselves in order to put food on the table. And because of course hygiene or technology or healthcare was not where it is right now, and people were not as clean as they are now and as educated as they are right now, very quickly this population of workers started contracting all kind of sexually transmitted diseases, and it was completely crazy. But despite all these sexually transmitted diseases, these women simply say, but yes, that's what we have to do. We have to keep doing this because that's what we have to do. So as they kept doing this, they started contracting some of the most dangerous diseases, one of them the syphilis. And as they started contracting that, they realized that from time to time, yes, not only I have this sexually transmitted disease, but I also find myself in a place where I'm expecting, I'm with child. So something needs to happen. And because of course of the precarity in which they were living, they didn't all have access to resources to do anything as far as this pregnancy was concerned. They would simply go with the pregnancy until the child will be born. And what they would do is they would take the child as soon as the child is born. They would take the child to a place known in the books of history as the Ospedali Anna Maria della Pietà. They would take the child to that place. The child was just barely born, and it was had to be very precise in terms of timing, because but back in the days when they would do that, they would simply put also a trinket or something inside the box that would allow for them to retrieve the child if one day they had a change of heart. And as they put the child in the box, in the basket, and close the basket, what will happen? There was a bell, there was a ring that's called la scaffetta. La scaffetta would then dun, 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 dun. Then the people inside would simply know, oh my goodness, there's been a drop off. So all the nurses, all the nuns would simply drop what they were doing and come to the wall, la scaffetta, and retrieve the baby and say, oh yes, here's another one, born to a sex worker who could not afford the child, so we're going to take the child inside, and they would care for the child. So as they do that, they start caring for the child. But the common thing about all these children that were actually coming from the sex worker at the time is because the sex workers, most of them were suffering from sexually transmitted diseases. The children that were born to these people eventually started developing all kind of diseases, deformities in their bodies. So basically, one of them will have simply only one eye, body part missing, deformed. It was basically not a very pleasant to behold, to say the least. But the nuns and all the nurses, because it was a public-private organization, funded organization, so basically they were receiving some kind of assistance from the government, and also private donors that will all be contributing to the welfare of this institution. So what they would do is they would start organizing life around these children and simply say to them, yes, you may have been forgotten, you may have been forgotten by society because your mother could not care for you, that's why you are here, but we are going to give you a chance to simply focus on yourself. But we're going to give you a chance to simply remove the filters of rejection that you have in your eyes. Remove these filters of rejection, the stigma of rejection that you have in your eyes. We're going to give you a chance to simply now close your eyes to the outside world, and now open your eyes to the world within. And as you open your eyes to the world within, we want you to have a granular, oh my goodness, as I'm saying that, even I can sense that tears are coming down my eyes, because I can feel the weight of the switch. I can feel the weight of the transformation that we're going through as far as the switch is concerned. Let me tell you why. They will tell the children, please forget the stigma of rejection. Just like Steve Jobs back in 1976, the Jobs family says to Steve Jobs, please forget the stigma of rejection. You were rejected 3 times before you were born. It's okay, but forget the stigma of rejection. Now you have to focus on who you are. That's number 1. Number 2, even this young man, Jeff Bezos, rejected by his father, adopted the Bezos family, who immigrated from Cuba, came to America. They adopted this young man, Jeff Bezos. They actually raising the church, say, forget the stigma of rejection. Go to school, do well, and you're gonna be somebody. And just focus on who you are. So going back to Venice, to that hospital, Anna Maria della Pieta, Ospedale, they said to the children, forget the stigma, forget the filters, forget the lesson of rejection, focus on yourself and just start having granular focus on who you are called to be. And as the children are doing that, they say, not only that, we're going to give you access to something key, to a music program that's going to allow you to learn and play as many instruments as possible. And as the children are playing instruments, because they've developed already this sense of granular focus on who they were called to be, slowly but surely what's happening is now they're putting soul into the instrument, and the soul of the instrument is now speaking to the ears of the people, to the point where when they be playing music on Sundays, everything will go quiet around Venice. All the gondolas will simply stand still in the water. People will come into church basically because they wanted to hear, they wanted to witness the soul that was coming from the music played by these people. It was that good. But if you think that was, no, I'm not going to stop there. There was something key as far as this Ospedale, Anna Maria della Pieta is concerned. As they're playing music, what will happen is the nurses, aware of the deformities, aware of the fact the packaging was already damaged. The packaging will look ugly. The packaging was not really good to behold. The nurses will simply say, we're going to put now a veil between the public and this performance, because the public cannot see the performance. So what they will do is they will put a veil, they will put a curtain. The curtain will be there to simply prevent people from actually seeing who's playing the music. But it was so good that week after week people kept coming back because they wanted to behold the beauty, the soul of the music. And it became so good that people from abroad, from England, from France, started coming to Venice just to listen. As I'm telling you, I myself, I can feel a teardrop coming because I can feel the weight of the switch. So they were coming now to visit. People like Anna Smith from England, she came to visit. Jean-Jacques Rousseau from France came to visit. And these two people, the lady from England, and Jean-Jacques Rousseau, at one point they says the music is too good, but we have to see the people behind the veil. And they insisted. They said we have to see them. The British lady said, she insisted, and the nun said, but this is not gonna be, the governess of the president, this is not gonna be good. We don't allow it. But no, I insist. So eventually she was granted access to the musicians, so they had to play without the veil. And when she looked at them, she was shocked to the core. She says, so this beautiful music, this soul music is coming from these people. She was shocked. The same reaction was also elicited in the voice, the body language of Jean-Jacques Rousseau. When Jean-Jacques Rousseau is given a chance to look at these people, he says, I can't believe it. How is this possible that such magnificent sounds are coming from people with so many deformities? They are too ugly to be presented to anyone, yet they are playing beautiful music. And of course it became a sensation amongst this quote unquote the celebrities of the time, because they kept saying, it simply goes on to show that sky indeed becomes a limit when you come to a place where you start focusing on who you are. When you come to a place when you simply say, I'm going to forget about any stigma, I'm going to forget about any rejection, I'm going to forget about any fear, I'm going to start focusing on myself. I'll be closing my eyes to the outside world and focusing now on the world within, more specifically obsessed with who I am on the inside. And this granular focus is now going to put some kind of soul into who I am, and that soul is going to now translate into everything I do. And once I start doing anything, my friend, everything will be done with excellence that has never been seen before. Such was the level of music that these children had actually reached as far as life is concerned, to the point where even the musicians play music at the highest level. They had to come to that place just to listen to the music and to be inspired, and that was just amazing. But why am I talking about them precisely? Because at one point, of course, all the rich patrons, all the rich people coming to that place to say to themselves, but if these children can play music the way they are playing, and back in the day, they didn't have DVD, CD players or thing to actually play music from their own homes. So you have to have someone playing live music for you. So they kept saying, so if I can bring my child as well to this place to learn to play music, eventually they're gonna reach the same level. But unfortunately, this was never happening. Why? Because of course of this one key thing: skill versus switch. They were acquiring the skill, all these rich children, but they were not able to transcend certain things in order for them to get to a place where they were now developing granular focus and now put soul into the music. Oh my goodness, you can send a rich child to a place where they can learn music, but in order for them to make the switch and to start putting soul into music, they have to transcend something that most children who have basically everything going for them cannot actually achieve. They cannot achieve when it comes to how to develop basically that sense of putting soul into your music, putting soul into your business, putting soul into what you're doing. Three things need to happen. Basically, I'll call it the OPP. I'll simply say O for obsession, P for pen, and 3P for placement. Let me just define that. You have to come to a place where not to become narcissistic, but simply obsessed with who you were called to be is concerned. Not to simply focus on I am the best. No, focus on who you were called to be is concerned. Simply say to yourself, I'm going to close my ears to the outside world. I'm going to close my eyes to the outside world. I'm going to forget about any filter that I may have inherited from the community around me. I'm going to forget about anything I may have heard that was hurtful or potentially harmful as far as who I am is concerned. I'm simply going to focus on who I was called to be and obsess with that. Once I start obsessing with that, slowly but surely, my whole person is going to start changing. That was number one. Obsession. Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, and many other people came to the same place as but even Albert Einstein, because this young man realized very quickly that life was going to be a very hard situation. His father, his mother started doubting him when he was very young, because he started speaking later. He had all kind of issues. He had a big head when he was actually born, and he spoke less. When he started speaking with speech delay. Before saying anything, he was speaking in his head, and I repeated. People say, but why is he speaking in stereo mode? Why is he speaking to us? He goes to school for the first few years, not doing very well. And that was one of the best schools around Europe. So the room they put it to a different school, and a different school he makes it. He goes to university, he graduates last in his class. As a graduate last in his class, is the job prospect were basically now completely not so fabulous, to the point where to settle for a job as working for a patent agency in Switzerland. But because he had developed precisely the ability to simply, to simply say, I'm not going to listen to what you're saying, I'm not going to listen to see what in front of me, I'm going to focus on who I was called to be. That obsession gave him this ability to put soul into what he was doing, and that precisely how he came up with all these different things. And he himself said it, I'm not more intelligent than the rest of you. I've simply developed the ability to stay with a problem much longer than the rest of you. Why? Because I'm obsessed. Number one. Number two, pain. Precisely the pain that this young girl at the Ospedale Anna Maria della Pietà in Italy, in Venice, Italy, were experiencing, caused them to find a way to simply do some self-work, self-development, and to focus on that and to obsess with that. And when they were able to transcend that pain, when they were able to reach a place with they simply focus on who they were called to be, as opposed to the external or the damaged package and damaged history, but they simply say, I'm not going to focus on the history. I'm not going to focus on the damaged good, but I'm going to focus on who I am called to be. far beyond anything I can see and hear. I'm going to focus on it. And when they focus on it and they transcend that pain, that's when they were able to now to put soul into the music. You look at people like Bob Marley. Bob Marley, it was rejecting. His mother is actually pregnant. The father decided to be with the mother. A few months later, a few years later after he was born, the father walks away. The father walks away from them, but doesn't walk from the country. He goes to Kingston. He starts having other children. As the mother and Bob Marley go to Kingston, Bob Marley simply say, yes, I realize that education, skills is not for me. I need to focus on the switch. I need to focus on how I'm going to make an impact as far as the world is concerned. And my switch, my contribution will come through music. But I don't have the means to get into the music business. So I need to start working for other people to actually make a living. He'll be working for other people like a Squash Lee, who took advantage of him. Eventually said to himself, I have family. My father used to be a womanizer. He has children all over the place. So let me see if one of them is doing very well. He put his eye on one of them was actually doing very well in Kingston at the dry cleaning business. He goes and simply says, could you please help me? The gentleman says no. And they kick him out. And as they kick him out, he was able to transcend the pain. He said, I'm not going to let the pain define me. I'm simply going to transcend the pain and focus on who I was going to be. And as he's doing that, what happened is he was able to make the switch and write the song and simply say, the stone that the builder rejected has now become the master stone that all of them have to depend on. That was number one. Number two, let's now move to the last one. O for obsession, P for pain, and last P is for placement. In the absence of a sense of obsession, in the absence of a place of pain, because not everyone has a crazy story where you were basically born to a mother that had a sexually transmitted disease, born with deformities. Not everyone came from crazy background. Not everyone came with no, some people had a wonderful background as far as life is concerned. But in order for them to make the switch, what needs to happen is it's simply a matter of location, placement. As your place in the company, or people can mentor you, groom you to actually develop what I would simply call singular focus, granular focus on who you're called to be. My friend, you're simply going to come slowly but surely to a place where you're going to start developing soul. And that soul you're going to develop is going to be translated into everything that you do. And when you start putting soul into your music, putting soul into your business, putting soul into your presentation, putting soul in every single thing that you do, my friend, slowly but surely, this attention to detail is going to cause you to be jet propelled, catapulted to the front. People simply say every single Sunday there's a group of women playing music in Venice, and when they play music, everybody has to go quiet. The whole town goes quiet. People on gondola simply stop any movement, because we have to listen to the sound that's being carried in the airwaves, the sound that's coming from this particular cathedral where people are playing, but we can't see them. But we simply know that the music is so angelic that we have to pay attention.